This is our first workshop of the academic year, time management. Krista Carter is going to be our presenter today. In your planner, in the inside cover, there is an evaluation. There is also an attendance where you put your name, your student name, your signature. Also in there are some handouts that Krista is doing the presentation that you will be using. Okay? At the end of the presentation, we will have the extra credit sheet set up in the back. So once the presentation is over, you guys can mosey back there and sign up with your instructors that have offered extra credit. So with that, we'll let Krista go ahead and get started.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. How was everyone today?
Good.
Happy Friday. Okay. Pull out your time management for students. Just going to have that nearby, right? So I'm going to assume that everyone's here because they want to make better use of their time, right? Be better managers of time. Not that you get extra credit or anything. I know why you're here. Okay, so today, really the goal is to make your life better. To make your life easier, to make your life more efficient, less complicated, definitely less stressed, right? Because we got plenty of that for the past year. So when we think about your time, we're keeping it really basic today. And we're going to do a little bit of quizzes here, do a little bit of self-test here and there. But let's start with the concept. Let's all start at square one, right? With this concept that we all have the same time. How many of you said, I don't have enough time? There's not enough time in my day, right? I didn't have enough time today. How many of you have used that excuse in the past 24 hours with teaching? I just didn't have enough time. I'm going to have more time. Which in reality, do we all have the same amount of time, right? We just go back to this good old, I don't have it up here, right? That we can go back to the good analogy of, assume that every morning you had 86,400 deposited into your bank account. Should be nice, right? Well, let's assume that's how many seconds each of us got deposited last night at midnight into our time bank account. Now we all have the options and how we use those throughout the day. And that's the key to this all is all of us, just like our money, we're going to decide how we're going to use it, how we're going to spend it, is that we're all going to decide how many of those seconds is spent sleeping. How many of those seconds is spent scrolling through, you fill in the blank. How many of those seconds is spent today, you're going to fill in the blank how you're using those. And so we really want to become aware of those and become the best manager of those, because at the same time, what do people always say on their deathbed? What do we always hear that people say? They wish what? That they had more time, right? They don't wish for more money, they don't wish for more things, they don't wish for over and over again. It's just, I just want more time. I want more 86,400 seconds. Some are at that point where that's what they would take. So this is the most precious commodity we have when we think about life. So go into that with this mindset and kind of think about that as you start to think about time. Now, when we talk about time, let's keep it really basic and simple. Really, it's just a sequence of events. This is how we spend our days. This is how we spend our lives. Right? So how are you spending yours? And we all have these tools that we use. Right? That thankfully we've been given tools to how to manage those 86,400 seconds. So what type of tools do you guys have in here? Either that you use or you could use. What are some time management tools you have? Yeah, this is the part where you get to talk.
Your advisor.
Your advisor could be a good time management tool. What else?
Alarms.
Alarms. Okay? And how many of you use your phone as the alarm? All right, it's good, but there's nothing against putting on an alarm clock and putting the phone away somewhere. I know that's a novel idea. My kids were like, what? Right, but we've had to do that at our house. What other time management tools? What? Calendars. What else? Good. Time management tools. A planner.
Reminders on the phone.
Say it loud.
Reminders on the phone.
Reminders on your phone. Good. What else? Right? Because these, everyone have one today? Are these a time management tool? I'm going to tell you that when I started having to do this like 20 years ago, yes, I'm not old, we didn't have these. ourselves with. If we could just have these handheld devices that went everywhere with us, it would transform how we use our time. Right? And were they right? Did it transform how we use our time? Oh, it did. But did it go in the direction that we thought it was going to go 20 years ago? No. We had no idea. We thought we were at the crux of time wasters. Right? We thought that television was the ultimate time waster. We had no idea. And we had no idea where it was going. So the same thing that was going to save our life by making our time so much more effective, what did it also do? Did it make it pretty dang challenging? Right? Yes, it did. But at the same time, could we use it for that? Right? It's because what all time management tools do you have on your phone? We've already said. We've got alarms, we got calendars, we got to-do lists. What else do we have? We can even look real quick to see what time that appointment was from the text reminder. We have texts that remind us about appointments to confirm, that push a button and goes onto our calendar. We have it easier than ever, but we have it harder than ever. But here's what I've learned about tools, is that if you don't learn how to use tools, is it any good? I spent a week with my husband out of town. I kept going, I need to get this thing done, but I don't think I have the right tools. He's like, it was in the garage all the time. Right, the tool I needed, and I'm like, I had no idea how to use it. Would have been bad, right? So that reminds me of something. Just to understand now, I'm gonna guess this is some of you guys, some of us. Let me just put, not you. With your time management tools, and really listen up to this first. My favorite part of this is the first thing that he says.
You kind of scared me with that song.
Okay, I'm gonna put it back. That's what I want to say to some of us. You kind of scare me with that calendar.
You kind of scared me with that song. No. Careful, Steve. Come on.
calendar on my phone. And they're like, oh, I just have to get a better to-do app. And so they get the bigger bulldozer, and then all of a sudden it goes down. And I'm like, how's that working out for you? Do you know how to use that tool? Right? And so that's really what I would challenge us today, is that sometimes getting a bigger tool, a better tool, doesn't really turn out that well for you. Right? Or how many of you have felt that way with your schedule? Right? Now, let me just do a little quiz here. And you can write it down if you really want to test yourselves. But you can also just tell me. Don't say any of this out loud. I got a couple of simple questions. When does the first 8 weeks end? Write it down. If you use your phone, you could access your calendar, your to-do list. When does the first 8 weeks end? Yeah, don't say it. No, we're not saying it out loud. Okay. When could your mom just text you and said she's going to book a flight when you go home for Christmas break? What day would be an appropriate day for that? Don't say it out loud. Your mom just texted you and is going to book a flight for a trip to Mexico or for you to go home. What day in December? There's your hint. What day in December would be the first available day you can do that? Don't say it out loud. Keep it in your mind. You can only use what you already have as a time management tool. Nothing else. No cheating. I see you cheating. Okay. When do you need to be back on campus in January? Don't say it out loud. In your mind.
I got it. I did.
No, not you. She can't use these. Can't use these yet. Using her tools, right? This is the only tool you probably brought with you
Oh.
But you have to show Jay and Lisa when you check out, you keep your plane.
Actually, oh my God.
No one, no one, okay. I thought you were. If you have a calendar,
I can probably.
okay, so first answer, when does first 8 weeks end?
After the first.
Oh, someone help, we are all, like, we need some oxygen here. Those of us who, thank you.
This is today.
It ended today. I would have took yesterday, I would have took today, I wouldn't have even taken this week. Please tell me that somewhere in your brain you're like, we're at, okay, even if it was for to celebrate. I mean, I got good news today, guys. We are halfway through the semester. And it's not just Friday. It is Friday at the midweek, the semester point. Which also means that on your calendar, you should have a note to self that says what? Check your grades. Where are you at? If you don't like the grades you see, what should you put on your to-do list on Monday? Catch up. And there better be some classes and an instructor's name that says, I better go visit them. I better go knock on their door, send them an email, and say, I gotta get my life figured out. And you know what? If you go and you carry this that you got today and say, help me figure my life out, that'll help. Okay? So, second one. And now if you guys want to cheat, and you want to know the nice little cheat sheet they gave you today, when can you fly out of here? Did you know the answer? Who knew the answer? When?
December 10th.
What's your answer?
Oh, my coach says so.
Wait, that is a good answer. That is a good answer. But you know what? You can't rely on your coach to hold your hand your entire life.
Can you repeat that like really loud?
Yes, I will. I'm a coach's wife. I'm going to say it a little bit louder. Your coach will not be with you your entire life. You will lose a job. It will get more expensive. You'll have someone who loves you and cares about you, who wants to walk out on you because you're like, my coach didn't tell me to be here. Did you know what a coach's #1 job is? Is that when they're not there, you still thrive and succeed in life.
That is very hard.
Yeah. So, you got to pick up your own calendar. All right, so back to it. When's the first day you can leave in December?
The 20th.
It literally says the last
Okay, here's
all
another.
4-week classes.
I mean, they gave you guys. You turn to December 2021 and the book they gave you,
It says December 2nd.
it says final exams, December 8th and 9th. When would be the best day to have your flight scheduled? The 10th, yes. If you put the 9th, that's bad for you.
The 12th.
Okay, we have students do this all the time. They go, what? I have a flight at 8 o'clock on the 9th. And we go, oh, you have a final at 8 o'clock on the 9th. This isn't good for you. Right? I have a flight on December 13th. Alright, so I looked at my calendar and said, when's the first time I can leave this country? And it's December 13th. So, next question. Those are the 3 I had, isn't it? Okay? So here's the thing. If you couldn't answer any of those questions with like a, hey mom, 1 second, let me look it up, not go search the CCC website because it's going to take you 5 clicks to find the semester calendar. You should have this somewhere. If not, you were on that video. You were falling off the boat. You were falling in the sinkhole. You were spinning around on your time management tool. So today, really briefly, we're going back to the most basic thing. You guys have great time management tools, and we can teach you how to use Google Calendar. We can teach you all the different tricks, but until you have these skills that we're going to talk about here, really basic skills, you can't use the power tools. Once you get these skills, then you can go to the power tools and you can transfer these skills over. Okay? So, how do you do that? Right? What time management tools do you have? What do you use? The big thing is you gotta work smarter, not harder. Time management shouldn't take you more time. So if it takes you more time to put it in here, then just carry this around. Many people who effectively use their time use a little bit of both, paper and their phones. Do not confuse activity with accomplishment, right? When you're sitting in the mud and your tires are spinning, are you going anywhere? No. Are you wasting a lot of gas and ruining your vehicle? Yes. Same way goes here. So, let's talk about what you can do, real basic skills. Right? We're going back time management 101. First skills we have is that we can make a daily list, we can make a weekly list, we can make a semester calendar, and we can make a yearly calendar. And really we need to flip that upside down and go big to small. Right? So if you grab your nice little booklets they gave you, they've simplified this for you. This is smarter, not harder. Do you realize that most important dates you need on your calendar are at the first page? At your page. I still use a paper calendar and I still print this out. I have it on paper calendar. Even though, right? So here's our semester. Here's really our yearly calendar. You need to take this yearly calendar from the school and then you need to merge it with your life calendar. Right? So if we're going to, and if you flip through this, they have weekly calendars and they have monthly calendars. So as you plan out your year, you can start flipping through the year. So along with this front page list, now here's the great thing, you can thank student support services. What did they already do? If you look at October, you would have got number 1 on the quiz, right? You were using their calendar already because what did they tell us? End of first 8 weeks. You have the second 8 weeks class. When does it start? Next week, 11. Thank you. All right? So they've already made this easy because they've already transferred. They've already done the first step that you should always do. And if you're using a digital calendar, you better get on your digital calendar and get all this put over. What are the other important things that you might want to be when you start thinking about that yearly schedule? What other type of things do you do when you sit down and make a yearly schedule? What else important should you know? Do what? Holidays. I wasn't going to put that on the quiz today, like, and everyone needs to pass one question, when's Christmas? I was afraid someone might get it wrong. What other important days? Like when you think about the year, what are some things you got to do personally?
Birthdays.
Birthdays. Your mother's birthday should be on there. There should be a big call my mom. Mother's Day should be in there, right? To try and help you out win a life, okay? Right? So think about yearly schedules. Right away, you sit down. Right away, you put down any important dates. Then we go up to your semester calendar. You got to figure out when do things end, when do they begin, what's important to know. Probably start with your schedule. Because your schedule, sometimes students don't realize when does their 8-week class start, when does it end. We have 12-week classes, 8-week classes, 4-week classes. You got to get on and figure out, oh, biology ends here. That means I have what to do. Right? Semester calendar. Where else is a great place to merge the semester calendar with? Where else should you go as a student at Colby to help you out with your semester calendar? We have it really easy.
The website.
Website is one, but we also have that right here. But there's somewhere else that you go that's going to help you with your courses. Canvas. Your Canvas calendar. You should get out this calendar, open up your Canvas calendar, and write down some big things at least. Tests, projects. And I know that sometimes those calendars change, but you can't go off of 6 different calendars. Yes?
One of the things my old coach used to make us do is
Hey guys, one of the big rules I have is when someone else is talking, you can't. Okay?
we did this for Google Calendars, but you can do it in your write it down. Is first week classes, you have to take your syllabus, write down every major project, every exam, finals, and midterms.
Is that
It takes 30
I-
minutes to do it for it takes 5 minutes per class. You take 30 minutes out of your first day of classes, you write it all down, and it's all done for the whole year.
Because there is nothing better than when a student goes, hold it, from your calendar or your syllabus, I put that this was due on here, and then you changed it, then it says on Canvas, it says this. I'm like, well, good for you, extra credit for you, and yeah, you went to the calendar. Okay? That's why you use syllabus too. But even now, Canvas makes that even easier. Okay? So there's another good habit. Then we go to your weekly schedule. Now, here's where you gotta start creating some habits and some skills, is when you think of good time, when we make a weekly schedule and a daily list, right? So when you go to make your weekly schedule, when do you think a good time is to make your weekly schedule? Probably Sunday, right? That sometime in the weekend between Friday and Sunday, you should be looking ahead at the next week, right? What to do in a class, have your own little to-do list. What appointments do you have? What are its important dates? Pull out your global Canvas calendar, because that'll pull every class up and it'll pull everything that's due. Because you miss something, especially in my classes, I think any class you're like, oh, I missed a due date, but I looked on my Canvas calendar and it wasn't there this week. If I hear that from a student, you know what I automatically do? I'm gonna give you a little grace. Because you're like, I checked, but it wasn't there. And I may be like, don't completely rely upon that, but at the same time, the fact that you looked and you were relying upon that, I am so much more likely to give you grace and go, yeah, here, I'll open that back up for you. I got you, right? And that happened in our class, James, that you're like, there was no due date on here, and where do I go? My bad, I'm adding 48 hours on.
Scared me sometimes.
Right, scary. Okay? So think about when is your weekly habit. If you change that and you start doing a weekly review of what's ahead, what do I need to do? Friday's a good time too, because that tells you what you got to do this weekend. Maybe you get time off this weekend because you don't have as busy of a week coming up. You don't have anything due, or you've already got it done. But you've got to create a habit. Identify now when you do that. And so in a minute here, I'm going to kind of talk about some habits off of this. Then your daily list. When should you do your daily list?
The night before or that morning?
First thing in the morning,
The night
or before you go, the evening before. I don't really care how you do it, whatever works for you. But usually if you do it the night before, what does that tell you about the next day? How early do I need to get up? When do I need to get started? Review your schedule, right? So how could you simply do that with this, right? That's why they've given us this good old, right? They've given you room here to make to-do lists. They've given you room here to transfer things over. They've given it so that you could even put, you see there's some blank areas? You can make notes here and then just have your to-do list over in the blank area, right? Figure out what works, but have this so you can go, all right, let's look at the monthly calendar. What do I got on it? Let's go into the weekly calendar and write today, look at next week, and what do you have to do? Right? I can already tell you like what I have to do, what I don't have to do, what nights are open, how it's looking for me. Right? So you should be able, if I said, hey, when do you want to go eat supper? You should be able to be like, this day is good, right? When can you should be able to know. Okay? Then, so create those habits. Right? Now let's look at some ways to up our game. All right, so let's go down, let's look at our time management for principals. We're going to come back. Oh, here we go. Okay, we're going to come back to that in a second. But so let's look at number one. When is as a student, this makes your life smarter, not harder. Number one, identify your best times for study. Everyone has them, right? When are your concentration hours? When are your power hours? They tell us neuroscience-wise that really we only have certain hours where our brains are like 3 to 4 hours of the day that we're the best. Now, how do we adapt that to a student? You guys don't always get to choose your class schedule, correct? But you can choose when you study, when you don't, right? What are the best times? As you look at your daily schedule, we've got two different things to do. You can either use this handout here, or a great thing that they've added is here. This will help you. We're talking a little bit about block scheduling, so keep this in mind. But when are the best times of your day? If you are not a night person, okay, like for me personally, if I try to do anything after like 7 o'clock, it'll take me twice as long. If I have any major decisions to make, ask any of my family members. Even if it's hey mom, what shirt do you think I should get? Like, don't ask me after 8 o'clock. I don't care. I have no decision power left. None is a good answer from me, right? But maybe that's your best time to study. Think about that too if you get an option about when you schedule your classes. Do you take that 8 o'clock math class or do you take that 12:30 math class? If math isn't your best subject, I would probably first prioritize, here's when I'm gonna be my best concentrator, and enroll in them, right? Here's when I'm more likely to put it as a priority and enroll in them, right? So what's your best time to study? Is it the evenings? Is it early morning? Is it the middle of the day? When do you feel like taking a nap? That's not your best time to study, right? So you gotta start to know yourself a little bit, right? Next one, study difficult subjects first. Okay, so let me restate that question. What subject do you really dislike? If you're like, if I could do without this, put that down on this line, right? So all of us know right now what subject, even as professional, I go like, this is the thing I like doing the least. And I'm like, I gotta put that down and get it done first because I'm least motivated to do it. So I gotta do it first. Right? So you gotta have an idea about what subjects take more of your time and energy as well as your tenacity if I really want to do this. Okay? So put that down. Which ones are most difficult? Looking forward to the second 8 weeks? You probably have a pretty good idea. Or if I need to get on your Canvas, I can give you a pretty good idea of what subject needs to be down. If you need help with that, just pull up Canvas, through your grades, and it's probably going to indicate, yeah, I need to put this one down in the line. Now, here's another work smarter, not harder, is distributed learning. Okay, what do we mean by distributed learning? We're going to talk about some methods where you're going to use some block timing, right? And you're just like, for this amount of time, I'm going to work. But then there's some other little things that make you work smarter, right? And the first one is when do you study certain types of classes? So say you're trying to memorize things. If you're trying to memorize, spend your 10 minutes before class. I look around my room a lot of times and look for time managers who are good and they're efficient, they work smart. And those are usually ones who come in the 10 minutes before class starts and they've got something out and they're reciting some, memorizing something, going back over something, right? Use those little blocks of time, 10 minutes between classes. Get there early, sit down, study. Go somewhere, sit for 10 minutes, study, right? That's distributed learning. If it's a lecture type class, let's say you get done with one class, you're going to the next class, you got 10 minutes, and you need to review the notes that they just discussed, that 10-minute period is really good. Don't ever underestimate the power of small increments. Add them in. You get out of class early, go find somewhere quiet and spend those extra 10 minutes doing something. Whether you're looking back things over, or you're studying something, because now that's something you can cross off your list. So it's all about using that waste of time, because unfortunately, as soon as we get 10 extra minutes, we'll leave it. And I'm so guilty. I'm just gonna pull up whatever my poison of choice is, I'm gonna scroll for 10 minutes, and it's probably gonna be more than 10 minutes. And then I'm probably do a little check-in with yourself, what's your energy level after you scroll? Right? Do you feel energized? Usually not, right? Good for you if you do, but usually not. So think about that distributed learning. So think about for yourself right now, think about your day, your schedule. When do you have those 10 to 15 minutes small block of times that you could do something with? Like for me, I keep a little list of either phone calls I need to make, bills I need to pay, little things that will only take me 5 minutes. And whenever I have those blocks of time come up, I just go to that list and be like, oh, can I mark that off? Can I get through 1 or 2 of these things while I have some downtime? Okay. And really work to do that instead of going to a time waster, whatever that is for you. So let's look at, let's go this and then we'll come back. Okay. Next big one, where do you study? Like if you need some time to focus, where do you go? Library. Good. Okay. Library, find somewhere, find your spot on campus or in your living area, wherever that is, if it's an apartment, right, that you study. I'm gonna tell you that probably if you choose the front of bed curve, that Kiva area, right? Or right here in the calf, it probably isn't very effective. Right? Because what do we do? Someone walks by, someone interrupts, someone, right? You probably gotta go somewhere where they're not gonna find you, where you can close the door, where you can be by yourself. If you haven't determined a regular area, and here's something else, we condition ourselves. Pavlov's dogs, neuropsychology, that we make associations. That when I sit here, I do this, but when I sit here, I associate it with studying. Meaning that if you go to the same chair, same spot in the library every time you study, do you know that neurologically you wired yourself like this is what I'm gonna do? Set some rules for yourself in those areas, like I will not turn on my phone in this area. I won't answer my phone in this area. Even to the extent that you're like, oh, I gotta go take this call, I have to leave my zone, my bubble, to talk because I didn't do that in this area. Maybe don't even take your phone with you to that area. Right? Protect that area. So find your regular study area. Study where you'll be alert. Least distractions possible. A lot of times the least distractions possible also means that what do you have to do? Silent your phone. Right? This is where some discipline comes in. Right? Come back, use the library. And it really doesn't matter where you use, but find the area that's quiet. Find your secret hiding space and use it. That's why a couch isn't a great place. That's why we say still go to a desk. Because that's just training your brain, this is where we go to study. And when you do that, kind of find a way to protect yourself. Find a way to create a bubble. Right? Agree with roommates, others around you that when I'm doing this, or when this is shut, or when this is taking place, you don't interrupt me. Don't talk to me. Right? Set some personal boundaries. It's harder than ever before. Get off the phone. You have to put in some silence. There's even tools, there's apps you can go that goes, man, lock me out for 30 minutes. You have to do that with your browser on the internet. We are more distracted than ever because we have everything coming out. So get off the phone, learn how to shut off notifications, practice saying no, whatever you need to do to avoid those distractions, which are distractions. Okay? Now, we're going to come back for entertainment and sleep. But I want to give you some really good techniques that I found that if college students, really anyone in life, will pick these up, they'll do that much better. Okay? So we have two things. One, the Pomodoro technique. We'll talk about that. And we'll come back. We'll play blocks of time, or we call time block. Okay? And these two can work hand in hand. We'll talk about even how to do this on your calendar. So anyone know what the Pomodoro technique is? The word stands for tomato. So what possibly could it have with time management? Does anyone have a habit of saying, for this amount of time, do any of you set a timer and go, for this amount of time, I'm going to do this? If you do, it's very effective. If you don't, if you do anything from leaving here, I want you to try this. Okay? So here's a quick rundown of best practices with it.
So it was invented back in the early 1990s by Francesco Cirillo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He named it the Pomodoro technique after the tomato-shaped timer that he used to actually track his work as a university student. Since then, this technique has gained much popularity in various productivity and self-improvement circles. So the theory behind it is that any large task or any series of tasks can be broken down into short timed intervals called Pomodoros. Each is separated by a short break. This takes advantage of the fact that our brains have limited attention spans. So as to how to use it, the only item you really need is a timer. You can go old-fashioned or use your phone or computer with an app. My favorite app is called 3030 on the iPhone. It's my favorite because of its clean interface and customizability, thus making it easy to do the traditional Pomodoro or customize it to your liking. More on that in a little bit. So first, choose a task or a series of tasks that you need to accomplish. Next, set the timer to 25 minutes. Continue to work on the task until the timer goes off. Avoid constantly checking the timer. Once the timer goes off, take a short break for 5 minutes. Get up during this time. Do not take the break at the same spot that you were working. I personally like getting up, holding a third roll squat, stretching, moving around. Now is also the time to use the bathroom and grab a refill for your water. After 4 Pomodoro cycles, take a longer break of 20 minutes. Rinse and repeat. Distractions. During your Pomodoro cycles, do your best to limit distractions. The whole point is 25 minutes of intense focus. Don't be checking Facebook or Reddit or the Med School Insider's website on and off. Focus on the task at hand. So I personally put my phone on either airplane mode or do not disturb mode, but be careful because do not disturb mode can actually affect the notifications on your timer app if you are using your smartphone app. If someone else comes knocking for help, use the inform, negotiate, callback strategy, which was suggested by Francesco Cirillo himself. So inform the distracting party that you're in the middle of something, negotiate a time when you can get back to them, and call back when your Pomodoro is complete and you're ready to address their need. When to use it. I only found out about the technique in medical school, and if you've checked my first video ever, link above right here, then you'll know that it is one of the key strategies that I wish I started using as an undergrad in college. So I often use this when I can't get myself motivated to study for a subject that is either particularly dull or boring. So anyways, I get my Pomodoro app started, and I tell myself I just need to do 1 cycle of 25 minutes. By making this commitment small, to just do a small amount of work, it's easier to get started. And once I finish that cycle, it always feels less daunting as I've built momentum. At this time, it's usually not a problem to keep moving forward with my work. I've also found it useful for reading textbook chapters, going through my Anki deck, and getting started on background reading for research projects. Remember though that Pomodoro is ultimately a productivity system to serve you. Therefore, don't feel obligated to always take a break if you're in the groove. For longer days where you'll be studying for most of the day, such as the day before a final exam, I recommend you do take breaks as this sustains your stamina and prevents burnout. Sometimes though, it's best to just keep chugging along once you've built momentum.
Okay, so let's just talk about that. Really simple, right? This is the best thing if you're procrastinating. I don't know we don't have any of those in here, but if your roommate is, you might suggest that to them. That if you want to procrastinate, I just don't want to get started, I don't want to do it, make a deal with yourself. Right? It can even be 15 minutes. Right? But 25 minutes is good with our attention span. So say, for 25 minutes, I'm going to work on this project. And you can even make a deal that you know you're not going to get this paper written in 25 minutes, but you know what that 25 minutes does? Gives you a sense of urgency. It says, I've got 25 minutes, and as soon as that 25 minutes is up, then I'm going to go do this for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, however many cycles. And even if only you do 1 cycle, that still works. Most productive thing for me. When I go back today, that's what I do with the rest of Fridays when I have meetings all day. But usually it is 25 minutes. Here's what I'm going to do. At the end of that 25 minutes, I'm done. Good. Question?
What if we're one of the types of people that once we get started on something, we have a hard time stopping ourselves until it's done?
Then you make yourself, right? And that's really good because you wear yourself out. So make yourself, when it goes off, make the deal that you have to do something. Okay, so maybe that is, for me, I have to get up and walk, right? Because sometimes I'm like, I'm not wasting time going outside. But then I know to be productive for my next one, I have to go outside and take a break. If not, I'll sit there for an hour and then I'll be like, wow, I was really unproductive the last 30 minutes and I realize it. This will really boost that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for some people it is. You're like, I can't sit here and just meander. I have to stand up and go do this. Or I have to be social. Or I have to, right? Or you reward yourself. Any of you need to hang the carrot out there for yourself and go, after I do this for 25 minutes, I get 10 minutes of my social media, my gaming. And if you're a gamer, then what do you have to do for your 10 minutes off? We're about done, but you have to give me an answer. What do you have to do if you're a gamer? Or anything else, social media, anything.
Set a timer.
You gotta set a timer to say, I get to go do this for 10 minutes, but when the timer goes off, I have to go back and do this. Right? You just gotta commit to it. Okay? So can everyone think they can go and do that? That's all you do, set a timer, and you can have free apps and they look like a tomato and everything else on your phone. Right? You can just use your good old timer, or if the phone's a distraction, get you a different type of timer. From outside. Set the time, work, make a deal with yourself on what you're gonna do. But already plan ahead, decide, predetermine what you're gonna do when it comes off. Okay? And then switch subjects. There's so many different ways you can use this, right? We can talk all day about how you can use this. Right? So can everyone go home and try that? All right, so the last two things I want to remind you of as we wrap up to be effective with your time. You have got to take care of yourself. Okay? You got to make a plan for living. Being a good time manager and rewarding yourself also means that you have time for fun, that you have time to take a rest, you have time to sleep. A lot of times I'll get that excuse like I didn't get much sleep because I had so much homework. No, you were a bad time manager. Because how long did you spend on your phone before you went to sleep? So for some of you, you just need to write and go, I'm going to sleep at this time. That means my phone goes down at this time. That means no one speaks to me at this time. Protect your time, right? So you'll see on here that I say, make time for entertainment relaxation. We only use our time well when we're fresh. That's why block scheduling, I'm blocking it out, using that technique is really good. Because you can also say for 25 minutes, I'm gonna go relax, I'm gonna take a nap. But when that timer goes off, what do you gotta do? Right? So, and then sleep and food. College kids, you're the worst. With sleep. Right? You gotta have 7 hours of sleep. There are very few people that function on less. Now you can argue, but I can show you the brain science. I can put you up against tests, and you know that your memory goes down. How your brain clears things out goes down. Athletes, you want to function your best, I 100% guarantee it. I can put you up against scientific tests, and I can even run an individual test and show you how ineffective you are when you start to go and make those analyses. Okay? And just last free information, your best sleep ever, no matter how your clock is between 10 and 2 in the morning. If you aren't getting to bed until midnight or 1, you do not get deep sleep. Your lymphatic system and your brain clears out between 10 and 1. It's the best time. And so I promise if you're not going to sleep until midnight or 1 every night, you are significantly being effective. Right? You're not here, but I can guarantee that. All right, questions? Okay, so the one thing you're at least going to do is what? Sleep. Sleep. Very good. And go try a time block. Okay? All right, questions? Okay, have a great day.